Hello and a warm welcome back. Today on the bench is another transistor amplifier. I've been asked to have a look at this amplifier by a chap, and to be honest it's way out of my sort of comfort zone because it's a direct coupled amplifier. I'll show you more about that in a minute. From what I can glean off the internet, the SA8800 was built from 79 to 81, but I've also seen another article with 1975 on there, and looking at the circuit boards, I don't know, we'll have a look at the capacitor, see if we can get a date on it later on. This was imported from Japan, believe it or not working, and so it runs on 110 volts. So we have to be careful that we don't stick in too much mains voltage. It's 80 watts into 8 ohms and costs $600 originally. So yeah, there you go. So what's it doing or what's it not doing? No output. Whenever somebody is going on about amplifiers and things, I don't want to see the front, I want to see inside. So here's a quick brief look in the inside. As you can see, there are multiple boards. This is an EQ section. These are our power supply caps. The main power supply board is underneath there. Here and here are our two power amplifier sections. This one, I'm not quite sure whether that's a preamplifier, and it's also got a phono stage in there as well. So it's a fully integrated amplifier. Let's go and have a look at the block diagram to try and make sense of it. So here's a block diagram. As you can see, it's rather busy. So here's all our inputs here. Here's the two phono inputs. That goes through an RF filter section, and we've got some switching, I presume. Then that goes into an EQ amp, and we've also got like a settable cartridge load gubbins here. More switching, and these are our other inputs: auxiliary, tuner, tape and tape 2. That all goes in there. And we've got a mode switch, all that switching. Another sort of muting sort of circuit. Balance, volume, then it goes into your tone amplifier and tone controls. Then we've got another filter, high, and a subsonic filter. Then we've got a pre-out, power in, jumpers on the back of the amplifier. That then goes into the power amp, and that goes into a protection circuit, and then eventually out to our speakers. At the moment, I suspect it's the protection circuit not coming out of protection. Let's have a look at the protection circuit. Right, as regarding the protection circuit, here we start to enter fun and games. And here is where, like, our esteemed Japanese colleagues back in the 1970s sort of had a bit of fun with the different models. So the amplifier that we've got is an Pioneer SA8800 Mk2. So this service manual here is for the 8800. There's the protection circuit, as you can see, and it isn't that. There are different models of this amplifier. In one online blurb it says that the Pioneer SA8500, this one, was released in the United States, and really it's an SA8800, if you were me. Just put you there. So this circuit here looks a little bit more like the one that's in the actual amplifier, because I started to draw it out. So essentially you've got like a long tail pair. Well, it's a bit vague on how it works, and then it's rectified by these two diodes here, and then goes into our driver circuit. Right, let's have a look at another one. Right, and this is the SA8500, and this is the protection circuit in that. So it isn't either one of those, but it's sort of got similar characteristics to them. So this is making the fixing of the amplifier quite difficult, in fact bloody difficult. Got my scope probe on the RCA input of the auxiliary input. I'll swing you around on the thing there. You can see we've got a nice big sine wave coming in. Right, next we've got to see if it goes into the EQ board and then comes out of the EQ board. Okie doke. That's coming out of the volume control into this EQ board there. Spin you around to the scope. You can see we've got a nice sine wave going up and down with the volume control adjustment. I think we should have one there as well. What we got? Right, it's over here. There as well. Right, we've got to see if it goes out. The pin in out, whatever, that is on the schematic is not the same as on the board, so we're going to have to use our intuition here. So it goes from our EQ, okay, no, that's wrong actually. It goes into the EQ, into, oh, I don't know. Right, this is not making sense. My notes say that it goes into the EQ, then out of the EQ, and then into the volume control. But we've just seen the volume control altering the input going into the EQ. Right, what we really need to know is whether it's coming out. One moment. So we've gone into the EQ board. As far as I know, this is our output. That's on one output. Not sure it's left or right. And that's on the other output. Obviously there's a disparity in amplitude, so we have a possible fault there. The bass control works nice on that one and doesn't do bugger all on that one. So now we've got to find out where it goes to next. So the angle isn't very good. I don't really want to move this as much. Right, so after all that, it comes out these two RCA jacks out the back. That's one. Spin you round. Lovely output. Let's look at the other one. Lovely output. So that's good. I'll put the connectors back in after I've switched it off, and then we'll see if we've got some output out of the power amps. So far we're doing good. If the power amps work, it's just a protection circuit hopefully, and then possibly changing some capacitors, making some adjustments. We shall see. Right, got my scope probe on the left hand amplifier, power amp. You can see we've got a nice output. I shall do the same now for the right. One of those pins there somewhere. Right, where is it? I'm just looking for the big inductor, which could be there. Yeah. So that's that down there. Green wire. Turn round. Both the power amps are working. This is good. Now we've got to trace that into the protection circuit. There's our two inputs coming in here. These two long traces is one, and there's the other, and then they should come out there. I can hear that the relay isn't engaging. So what I need to do now is see if we've got any DC on there, to see whether that's why the protection circuit is engaging. So there's my meter on one input to the protection circuit. As you can see, it's not reading anything. Trying to get my probe on, and I can't see any DC there. So if it's not that, we'll go and have a look at the transistors. That will take me a while to try and find out where all the connections come out onto the PCB. Right, I have some success. I've got the protection circuit coming out of protection. So as you can see, we've got a nice sine wave there. That's on the right channel, and that's on the left channel. So everything's okay, isn't it? No, it isn't. This signal here is me putting my signal generator directly into the power amplifiers. However, if I was to put it in the auxiliary, etc., then it goes into protection and all is not well. In fact, on one channel we get a really high frequency distortion. So let me try to explain what I think is a problem. I've turned the amplifier off because it's not right and I don't want to go buggering it up. This board here, as I mentioned before, I was getting a low output. I think I showed you that. We was getting a low output on one channel. I think this board really seriously needs looking at. More than likely all these capacitors want changing. These are low ASR types, so you can't just go bunging anything in, really. I mean, you can get away with it, but not good. And I suspect that goes for a lot of the boards too. While I'm not a fan, like a lot of American sort of YouTubers are, of, you know, blanket recapping, because I don't know a lot about this and what have you, then I think that would be a good way to go for at least this board and maybe some of the other boards, and I'll tell you why. So how did I get it to come out of protection? Well, in the end, like I went and changed a few capacitors. So I'll point you over there, there's one down there, changed that one and two others, and this is after thoroughly testing the board, thoroughly testing the capacitors, and just find everything's in a bit of a state, because, you know, I've been working. There was two capacitors, one of those low ESR types and this one. Now this one tested fine for capacitance, it tested fine ESR, as did the other one. However, I just went and changed them anyway because I was getting a bit desperate, and that worked. Try and get this thing really working properly means, I think, back engineering the whole damn thing. Maybe some parts of it are the same as the SA8800 service manual, but some parts definitely aren't. So I'm going to consult with the owner and see where we go from here. But as it is, it's not a working amplifier, although I have made progress. Waffling again. It's very, very cold in here. Thank you very much for watching. Take care of yourselves. Ta-da for now.